Hello, we're back. I had to check on Bucky. He was barking at something, stressed out at something. So, where were we? I hadn't gotten very far, so don't worry. I'm going to start over. Welcome, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I wanted to share a little bit today about something that was starting to land for me. And it was a concept I was getting before, but now it just has landed at such a deeper level. Oh my gosh. And so I felt the intuitive pull to jump on here. There was no strategy or plan like I go live on Wednesdays and this is what I do and this is my content strategy. No, I have the intuitive ping and I follow it. So there's something that I want to talk to you today about regarding conditional gratitude. And it's just something that is starting to really come together for me in this totally different way. And I have talked a lot about the be, do, have model, right? You have to be things first before you can have the reality you desire. Yet this just kind of blew my head off. So I'm going to share an example and hopefully this will kind of clarify what I'm talking about. So for folks know, I live actually in Texas now, in north of Dallas, but I used to live in Austin, Texas, and before that, Chicago. I moved around a lot. And the move from Chicago to Austin, I was in a lot of resistance with. I empowered myself with, I was choosing this, but I was resistant the whole time. So it's still functioning from a bit of like a victim energy. You know, I've been talking about that recently on here because it's been popping a bit. So although I consciously was choosing it, I was in a bit of victimness in the sense of I was in a lot of resistance. Like, I don't like it here. It's hot. This is not the vibe. This is not what I wanted to choose. I wanted to stay in Chicago. And it's like, but Janine, you chose this. So I really went through this process in, I would say, the first year of just a lot of frustration. A lot of frustration with feeling stuck. Now, the stuckness energy is really potent right now. I'm hearing it over and over again from clients in my membership, from containers I'm in, from followers of feeling stuck. Let me know in the comments, is this where you're at as well? Are you frustrated with feeling stuck? And that's where I was at. I knew that I was doing it to myself. I was making it worse for myself, yet I couldn't get out of it. Well, if I just get mad enough at it, it'll change. If I just get frustrated enough, it'll change. It's like, I deserve to be mad at this. I deserve this. This is right. It's right for me to be mad at this. I've definitely been stuck. Okay, 100%. Yeah, so other folks are feeling the stuck vibes. And that deserving energy really just perpetuates it further. So I was on a walk, I remember, in Austin. Yes, trying to navigate a lot of stuck frustration energy. Okay. I was on a walk, my usual walk in the morning in Austin at the time, around our complex, walking Bucky. And I was listening to a lot of Abraham Hicks because I was like, this is not what's happening. I noticed when, I go through some seasons where, okay, the mindset's not just happening with as much ease as I know what's possible. So let me super plug in, amp up the meditations, plug into some Abraham Hicks, do the things that I know will start to pop me out of this. And it clicked at the time of, oh, I really just require to be in allowance right now. To have massive allowance for all of it. Allowance for the choice, allowance for where I'm at, allowance for the weather. There was a big weather change from Chicago to Texas. Allowance for the weather, allowance for the year that I've been frustrated at it. Allowance for what I've chosen. Now, allowance is different than acceptance in that allowance is literally zero judgment. It just is. Acceptance is, well, I'll accept it, but. well, I guess I have to accept this. It's kind of a bit of that energy. So although it's like on the way to allowance. Acceptance is on the way. You're in resistance. Okay, I'm going to accept this. Okay. Allowance is more surrendering. Surrendering to what is. Now, surrendering isn't lie down and take it energy. Surrendering is not, I give up, that's it, I'm stuck, well, woe is me. It's not that. Allowance for what else could I choose here? And I realized in that moment, because I was choosing it, right? I was choosing to be there. Well, what would it take for me to shift my mood? Because it's on me. It's on me, right? Yes, we could like move back or we could change all the things, but at that point, it's on me. And I knew that was the place for us. Like it really was the place for me and my husband at the time, and that it was creating more expansive things. So I was aware of that, and this was all like pre-COVID too. I was aware of so much. And so at that point, I reclaimed my power, stepped back into my power, and chose to have a different perspective on what was going on. I literally remember the morning on the walk that I was like, that's it. I'm over myself of being frustrated. I'm over this. So what else could I choose? And that empowerment just shifted everything for me. It really changed everything because I realized it's not about what is happening outside of me. It's what I choose. What I choose. That I can choose to focus my attention on the amazing, beautiful things I have in my life, or I can choose to focus on the lack and scarcity and what I think should be, and expectations and projections and judgments. And it all creates a lot of strain and suffering. And we do this to ourselves. We do this to ourselves. And so I noticed how, that's really reminiscent of the idea of be, do, have, which is you need to be something before you have the thing. We kind of function the opposite, or we might fall back into it at times, which is like, well, I'll be happy when it's the weekend. I'll be happy when I finally work from home. I'll be happy when I have the job I want. I'll be happy when I have the car, when I have the money, when I have the relationship. You'll always want more. You will always desire more. You will always desire something else. And so, although yes, helpful to look forward in the direction we're going, if we are not acknowledging everything that we have created, then you will forever be in the space of lack, of the conditional results, where your mood and your livelihood is at effect of the world around you. Now, to me, this is really like high, advanced level emotional intelligence to train yourself to not be at effect of everything that's going on around you. Now, I'm not talking about like sticking your head in the sand and I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about intentional, conscious choice in the moment to focus your attention on what will create greater for you. Because for what purpose do you focus on the stuckness? For what purpose do you focus on the frustration? Is it creating greater for you? Now, when I look at this, it's kind of like, well, what am I trying to prove here? Because I've kind of come around. So this was a couple years ago that I was in Austin. And now I'm looking, there's a similar flavor that I was doing recently when I moved here. Oh, that's funny. I'm just getting that. I'm getting an awareness of something with like, when I make these, I move quite frequently. When I make these moves, it like stirs up the energy for me before I settle in again. And so it's kind of like how I was initially with that initial move in Austin, how I was in some resistance about it. And now here I'm noticing it more in the business, where I'm going into a similar of resistance of what is. And so I want you to get that you are able to, in the moment, choose whether or not you could be joyful, whether or not you could be in gratitude. It's a choice. Yet, what are we trying to prove when we're going into struggle, when we're going into suffering, when we're going into not enough? But Janine, I don't have it. But Janine, I'm just stuck. I don't know what to choose next. What does putting your attention on that create? It creates more of it. And this is why I'm saying this is a very advanced, higher level emotional intelligence conversation, because as we go through the healing journey, we start more at this victim-y narrative, victim-y consciousness, right? And it makes sense, right? Especially if we've been through really extreme trauma, you were literally a victim. However, if we stay there in that place, the world is happening to me, then I don't have choice. Then I can't create something else. And so as we move along in this healing transformational journey, we start to realize, wow, I am doing a lot of my pain and suffering to myself based on what I focus on, based on where my attention is at. I heard it also described as learned helplessness. Yeah, exactly. And there's all these sorts of things when we're in this helpless vibe where we get reinforcement from it, where someone might offer more support, right? There's like a secondary gain, they call it. We get something out of it, so then it starts to be reinforced. But what creates the greatest for you is to be in this place of, I create my reality. I choose. And the energies that show up are mirroring who I be. Maybe I don't have total control over the exact scenarios that show up and everything that comes up, and I have control, choice, if you will, over my perspective. This is not always the popular conversation. The content that I used to produce that tended to go viral, if you will, was more of the, I'm a victim, look what happened to me. This is why the way I am. But then when I talk about the empowering stuff, it's like crickets. What do you mean I have choice here? What do you mean this is my responsibility? I don't have to be responsible. Now, I get this because if we're still functioning from judgment, if you're still functioning from judgment to some degree, then you will judge your choices, which means you have to judge the result, which means you have to judge you and separate from you and reject you. And so this is why people hold on to, well, I was unable to do this. I didn't choose that. This happened to me, right? Because it's like the judgment is so painful that it's projected out. And I've had that a couple times currently with, it's come up for clients where they've used some verbiage like that. Well, I was unable to. And I looked at that and I was like, well, is that true? It's not true that you weren't able. What's true is you didn't choose. That was just a choice. And when you get out of judgment with that choice, then it's just interesting. And you free yourself up for change. People are definitely allergic to ownership. Yeah. We love to point the finger. You made me mad. You're the reason for all my problems. It's like, it's us. It's us. But the only way that we can truly see that is when we have honoring for ourselves, when we're not in judgment of ourselves. then we free ourselves and our nervous system can relax. Our nervous system can relax because we are not in judgment. The judgment is what blocks us wanting to take ownership. When we get out of that, then it's ease. It's like, well, okay, well, I actually didn't choose it. It wasn't that I was unable, I actually just didn't choose it. So how I started this whole conversation was around conditional gratitude. And kind of what I was looking at recently was my focus on scarcity, my focus on lack, and not the focus on all the things I've created. Because it's so easy for us to, again, stay so focused on where we're going and what's possible that we lose sight of where we're at. That right now, what you are living is a manifestation of something you wished you had at some point in your life. At some point. And so today I looked at that as, wow, like I'm really freaking grateful that I work from home, even though that's been years now. But I'm still so grateful for that. Or the fact that now I can, working for myself, go to a yoga class when I want to. Or that I can create the schedule I want. Right? But I have to look for that versus have my emotions, my gratitude be focused on whatever results I think my business should do. Well, I'm in year 2, so now I should be this far along and this should be happening and blah, 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 blah. What? Then it's like I'm literally creating the resistance that I'm seeking to not be in. Does anyone relate to this? Are you in the place of, well, this should be happening and why don't I have this and they have that, especially if you're an entrepreneur and you see people with these amazing results online and you're like, why can't I do that? Why is that happening for me? And we go into this like pouty teenager energy that's not creating what we desire. I'm trying to learn how to stay anchored in the present instead of living in the past and the future. Any tips? Yes, and yes, lots of shoulds, absolutely. And shoulds are an expectation of a reality that doesn't exist. Bah! So, staying anchored in the present. I mean, this is kind of exactly what I'm talking about, which is consciously choosing. So, for me, currently, it's if my thoughts start to go in a way where I'm going into lack and scarcity and things that aren't even true, then I have to, in that moment, catch myself and literally just start to go general and look around me. Wow, I am so freaking grateful that we own our first home, like not a condo, like a home. Wow, I'm so freaking grateful that I work for myself. Wow, I'm so freaking grateful that my body is strong and getting stronger as I'm going to yoga every day. Wow. This coffee is amazing. This breakfast was amazing. Wow, I enjoy spending time with Bucky. Wow, just the simple things. And then it's like it snowballs in the positive direction. Yes, the constantly moving goalpost is driving me crazy. Cool. And that's exactly it, right? Because it's like, it will constantly move because there will always be more. So this is where, especially as an entrepreneur, but just in life in general, we have to choose. We have to choose now. You choose now to have gratitude right where you're at for everything you've created, the space you're in. We choose now to have allowance for things not being as fast as we want them to be for whatever reason. Maybe you'll know eventually, maybe not. What else is possible? But that is the energy that moves things faster to you. But we can't be in this place of, well, I'm going to do gratitude to get. I'm going to do gratitude to get the things. I mean, I get it. We're very results driven. We're very results oriented. That's what sells, right? Because it's I just want the results. It's well, you could create them. Because ultimately, for what purpose do you want the results? For what purpose do you want more followers? Do you want the viral content? Do you want more money? For what purpose do you want it? Now I'm using business as an example. Because you are searching for a feeling. You think that having the more followers will make you more confident online, or make you feel more proud of yourself, or the more money will create what? That you're deserving? What would it take to create those feelings now? This is where we have it all backwards, especially with business trainings. Because it's like everyone's selling like, shoot for the results. What are the results? It's like, what's the feeling? Because for what purpose, especially with entrepreneurship, for what purpose do you want to do this? I mean, for me, it was like freedom, joy, expansion. It's like, so the days I'm not choosing that, I'm like, hello, Janine? You choose it. You choose it, not the results. And so recently when I was in a mentorship container, and the mentor said back to me, well, you give your power away when you're focused, when it's conditional to the results. And I was like, what are you saying? I don't get this. Like, it feels true, but I don't. And it wasn't until today that it really landed. Oh, because I choose my power. I choose it. Not based on whether someone's joining or not, or whether someone defaults on a payment or not. No, I choose it. Because if we are constantly allowing ourselves to be codependent to the results, codependent to what's happening, then we're on for a wild ride. So this is the muscle to strengthen. To not make your gratitude conditional. To not make the results conditional. And this is where I consciously chose today, and probably will have to choose over and over again, but there was a pivotal moment today where I was like, okay, this is changing. And I've had a couple of these, I would say, moments in biz. Like in the first year, I was in a bit of a like nervous system flea maybe, where I was just like, create, go. You know what I mean? It's like, create more, okay, go, one. And I was just kind of in like a frenzy. And like a year in, I was in a place of, okay, Janine, you need to relax. You need to chill out because this is a lifestyle. You got some years to go, so just chill. So I was like, I've gotten the relaxation vibes, but now I'm in the I create this era. I create the gratitude. I create the joy, regardless of what is happening in the business. And the happy default is it makes you more magnetic. And you can't do it to get that. You have to do it just for the joy of doing it. Because ultimately, that's what you want anyways. That's what you're going after. Everything that's disguised as a result is actually the feeling you desire that you could create. Yes, I feel a lot of compare and despair in my being when I see singer-songwriters on social media. Yeah, I totally get that. I get that, and I've heard it from other clients too, when they're seeing other people's wins, successes, and then we almost use it as more justification to be in our mood. See, they're doing it. See, I should be upset. See, I'm right. We're always trying to prove ourselves right. And so, although we are seeking to get to a place where I can see that and not be at effect of it, right? This is the muscle to strengthen. In the meantime, I might just get pragmatic and seek to try to scroll less, cut down my social media time, or, right, and create more. Because if I'm more in consumption, then I'm going to be in more comparison mode versus creation. Because when you're in creation, you're in your own lane, you're doing your own thing. It's like the horses with blinders on. You're doing you. And that's going to cultivate the feeling that you're going for. because that is what you have more control over versus the results. So what if you chose that? Just chose to focus on creation, to focus on your own thing. I'm just scrolling down, catching up to see if there's any other comments. How is this landing for folks? What is coming up for you around the stuckness, having your mood be conditional to what's happening and using it as like a justification to be angry or upset or frustrated, right? Because when we start to get on that radio station, we will see more things to support that. Now, some folks go into like, well, then you're starting to attract it, right? Because you're of that vibrational frequency. Yes, and you're also just actually, your brain is seeking those things, right? When you start to think about something, it's reflected back to you constantly in this reality. Right? I told folks, I think on the last live, when I was thinking about a particular car, I was like, oh no, it was in one of my groups. I said, oh, you know what? Recently I've been thinking about a Porsche, like a white Porsche. That would be kind of cool to have. Wonder what that would take. And then all of a sudden I saw them everywhere here. And I was like, it's not like all of a sudden 40, 50 people got white Porsches. They just were there, but my brain was now showing it to me, literally because I implanted the seed of like, what would that be like? Right? Our brains are doing this constantly. And so this is where when people say we create our reality, it's because we constantly are doing it based on where our attention is, where our focus is, and what our beliefs are. Because then it's reflected back to us. This makes so much sense with my paralysis around posting on social media. I'm following all these other people who have long captions and copy it all looks a certain way, and I feel it needs to be that way, and I don't want to do it like that. So then I'm like, nope. Yeah. Yes. So I will mute, unfollow, like just choose whatever you need to at this stage to support you, right? Again, eventually we're getting to this place where I can see that stuff and I don't compare because it's different. There is no comparison. And honestly, for your creativity, it's helpful to consume less, right? It's helpful to consume to the point of education, but not to the point of comparison and then you're losing your magic. Because there is no one right way to post. There is no one right way to create a caption, to hashtag, to create a video, to blah, blah, blah. There is no one right way. I've seen and been in many different business containers of folks sharing all the right ways to do business. And it's like, well, that's the way that worked for them. And anytime I tried to just copy and paste, it like, meh, because it blocks your awareness to go into, I should just do this, versus listening to you and your intuition. Because what do you know about, let's say it's just creating a short, potent caption? What do you know that will create? Who are your people that are craving that short, potent information? I've gone through phases, like, because I'm not the one to like consume a really long caption. So I was like skim it usually. And so that is kind of the amount of energy, effort I will put into mine because of how I focus, how I function. However, there's plenty of people that do take the time or do spend time reading every word or needing to be more verbal in how they deliver their message. And that's just their creation, right? That's not right or wrong. It just is. And it's going to speak to certain people the way something more succinct will speak to certain people. We need all of it. We need all of it. We need your magic. How do you create that's different? Because that's what's special and unique, right? Not just copy and paste. This is how you do it. This is how you get results. I promise you'll be disappointed every time you go that way. I don't want to comment too much. Please, I'm a responder. But I feel like focusing on how I'm the creator as well as the experiencer at the same time. Focus on how I want to be and create. Yes. Yeah, exactly. And it's just a really mind F to be like, wait, I'm creating this whole experience. I'm feeling more empowered. Thank you. Oh, I'm so grateful. It's very helpful and resonate. It feels like releasing a pressure. Yes. Because, wow, it's so 12. We're getting out of judgment. That's it. It's like we don't realize, like if folks that didn't see the post I talked about where I like cried in yoga the day ago or something, we are carrying so much constantly, so much judgment of ourselves, of we think what should be. But when we can function from something else, from being an allowance, from not needing to be at effect of the results, then the results don't matter. Your audience size doesn't matter. It literally doesn't. Your results don't matter. You can choose your happiness. And even we can say with money up to a point, right? There's a lot of research regarding having a certain amount, and more than that doesn't actually make people happier because they have the basic needs met, right? We need our security needs met for our nervous system to feel calm, cool, collected. But we're talking about what's past that. It's like, is more actually going to make you happier? You will always desire more. That's what keeps you expanding. But the trick here is, what does it take to have gratitude for now? To be so excited for what you have now. To intentionally create your day. Intentionally, consciously choose where you are focused. Because this is what's going to shift it for you. You're making me want to reread The Art of Possibility. I feel like there's more I'm ready to receive. Yeah, and receiving. We're going to talk about that, or the receiving, in my membership in December, because I was like, this receiving thing is popping too. So basically how I create for my memberships, my Courage to Choose is a masterclass membership, and my Activate membership is the entrepreneurial membership, like group programs. And so the masterclass of the month is going to be receiving the gift of you. So that's something that you can either choose a la carte, which I'll be dropping soon, or choose the membership and have tons more things, blah, blah, blah. But the whole idea of receiving is that we're really not taught in this reality to receive us. And so we kind of block a lot of it. We judge a lot of ourselves, and we don't allow others to see it. But when we are in a space of truly honoring us, the allowance, then people are like, oh, that's so amazing. It's like what we've said, like it's the release of pressure. It's relaxing, it's exciting, it's magnetic, because it's allowance and permission for others to choose the same. So what if by you not receiving you actually does a disservice to others too? Because that's like, oh, I have to hide too. Yeah, that's a whole other thing that I'm looking at, like how much hiding we do. I relate to that. My ultimate goal is to be an artist and a photographer. The past 2 years, I've gaslit myself into not posting due to social anxiety. Yeah. So with that, it might just be strengthening the skill, the muscle, to create and be seen and receive whatever it is, receive whatever energy comes from it. And so that's going to be a huge gift and tool, skill that is also required as an entrepreneur, as an artist, as a photographer, right? Like being on social media, even if you don't want to use social media for marketing, the act of social media is actually amazing for entrepreneurs because it's like this huge growth journey. It's not just about selling. It's just so much more. It's so much more. And that's okay, right? Where you've been at, like of gaslighting yourself. I get it. Look, there are still days where I'm like, exposed. Just like needing to. But when I'm in the energy of just creation and just whatever, receive whatever energy comes from it, then it's much more ease because I'm out of my own resistance. The Courage to Choose membership is incredible. Oh, I'm so grateful to hear that, Bridget. There's a huge portal in the Courage to Choose membership of everything. You get access to everything from when we started. So there's a 3-month commitment because, we like people to like come in and stay a little bit. Just stay a little bit. Sometimes we like to flee, and it's helpful for our nervous systems to just anchor for a moment. Take some time, pull the information in. Even if you're triggered, pull the information in and hang with it. And so each month is a different masterclass. I'm looking at something fun for December for my members. It'll be members only, not a la carte. So the masterclasses are a la carte, but the members get also, like I said, the entire portal as well as a Q&A around the masterclass, because the masterclasses are live trainings. And then the Q&A, the members are able to unmute and ask their questions and etc. And the members get other bonuses and fun stuff like that. So that is my kind of, I want to say like entry level into my world. If you're looking to connect and get closer, just the members are so amazing. They've just transformed so much. A lot of them have been in there quite a while, and the conversations are quite different than we were having last year. So wow. I'm so grateful truly to do this. So the other membership that I've been talking about more on here is Activate. So that's kind of the next step up in the sense of it's for folks that are then wanting to go into entrepreneurship. Now it is for, I would say, before I was like, is this for the entry? I was like, yeah, it's for the entry level. I'm like, it's really for everyone, depending on what you're seeking. Because what I teach is focused on the energetics and who you be and the mindset around all of it. And so that is what creates, not the perfect, right strategy, complicated funnel and all that business. Yes, there are some things to choose to create intentionally, but it still needs to come from your intuition, your awareness, because that's the magic. And so that's not, I can't tell you like, well, your intuition is saying this, so choose this, right? I focus on building the strength, giving folks the tools to build the strength and trusting themselves. And so that's really the focus around that. I have folks that are brand new to entrepreneurship or haven't even started their businesses, like they just want to be in the vibe of other people having a business, to people that have done it for many years and have brick and mortar businesses and yada yada. So I speak to a lot of my real-time experiences within coaching, within mentorship. However, you don't have to be a coach or a mentor to really benefit from it, to apply the information. So that is coming up, well, as in we're starting our next round in December. We're having our final call for November today. However, if you do join by Friday, you get free access, a free bonus to all the November replays. So each month is a different program. And this last month we did Invite, Don't Sell, which was like, wow. It went all sorts of places. I surprised all of us because I have a plan and there's some things I'm like, this really needs to be said and get out, and I get those things out. And then I also follow the energy. What does the group require? What do they need to hear? I create really intuitively and organically, and I always have. So when people are like, how'd you build your audience? How'd you do this? And I'm like, I just kind of like today, I followed the ping to go live. It said go live. I was going to do something else, and I was like, well, okay. And I just follow it. That's it. But that can take a second to get there. How do you learn to choose the positive, lighter energy instead of being sucked into insecurity, fear, when that's so compelling? It is compelling. It is. It is depending on like where your nervous system is at too. So like for me, I know somatically that has to be taken care of first, right? So it's like, if you're really dysregulated, then what else could you choose? Amp up the nervous system tools. Is it working out more? Is it going for more walks? Is it breath work? Is it dance parties? What is it? For me, more acupuncture, I'll amp that up. And once I get that more dialed in, then it's easier for me to work on the mind And for me, it's like a few things, such as when I wake up, I gotta take care of Bucky because he needs to eat immediately. He will not, like, he'll whine and freak out. Like, I can't just like sit and meditate. So take care of him and then go and do like a 15-minute meditation or something like that. That is a huge shift than me taking care of him and then going scrolling. Little things like that are huge in that I'm getting ahead of the momentum. I'm getting ahead of the energy, because when the insecurity and fear and the momentum get too strong, then it's just harder. So then it's like, go take a nap. Go take a nap, truly, to like stop the resistance. So it's like, this is very Abraham Hicks. I'm seeking to get out ahead of it. So then it's like, I choose that today. And then this idea of conditional gratitude is coming in. And so I'm like, oh, okay, I need to start putting my attention very much more intentionally than what I have been. And so then it's like having my own gratitude rampage on the way to yoga, or just reframing it. So I would say, when you ask how, it's choice. And I appreciate also when folks ask how, it's like, well, what energy do you be? What energy do you be? What's your mindset around it? And then you can see what works for you with that. Because it might be just like little minute tweaks, you know? Cool. Little minute tweaks. It doesn't have to be these huge, monumental changes. These changes over time have a really amazing compounding effect. All right, y'all. Well, that's what I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining me on this impromptu live, and trust that you know. Trust that you always know. You know. Follow that pang. That will always guide you in the direction that you're seeking. Until next time.